Working in her mother's greenhouse, Debbie Greenthumb has seen how some beautiful flowering plants grow from seeds. Most greenhouse plants grow from seeds, but not all. Corn grows from seeds. Each kernel on the cob of corn is a seed. Debbie's mom told her that farmers can plant thousands and thousands of corn seeds and keep them in a straight line using special equipment attached to their tractors. Corn is usually planted in the spring. By fall, it is ready to pick. Each plant has many ears of corn. Farmers will sell some of the corn and keep some for the next year's crop. Lots of plants create seeds that are protected inside fruits. But where do the seeds come from? Debbie knows that flowers are the key. It is true that flowers are very beautiful, and they help to make our world a prettier place for us to live in. But the real job flowers perform is reproduction. They are designed to make sure that plants on which they bloom produce the seeds that they must for new generations of plants. Plants, just like animals, must have a method for reproduction. They need to have a way to make new plants to carry on their species. Animals must reproduce to have new offspring, and plants also must have a means to create new plants. Flowers have male and female parts, just like there are male and female animals. Here is a diagram of a typical flower. The two important parts are the pistil in the center and the stamen that surrounds it. The tips of the stamen are called anthers. It is within these structures that the flower's pollen are produced and stored. The pollen grains are the male sex cells. The pistil of the flower protects the ovary, or the place where the eggs develop. This is the female part of the flower. These eggs can turn into seeds if a pollen grain from one plant is able to fertilize or join with the egg. This is how it happens. If a pollen grain lands on the tip of the pistil, it will grow a tube down into the ovary and possibly fertilize an egg. If that happens, a seed will develop and the ovary changes into a fruit to provide protection and food. For seeds to develop, pollen must travel from one plant to another. When the flower is mature, the anthers open up and pollen grains are released. Some plants release the pollen into the air to be carried by the wind to other flowers and plants. It is this pollen in the air that bothers many people who suffer from hay fever. Pollen that is spread by the wind has a slim chance of reaching the pistil of another flower, so there is an even better method of pollen transfer. This other method requires the help of insects and birds. A bee is attracted to a flower and searches for nectar. While the bee is looking for the nectar, it rubs against the anthers and pollen may stick to the bee. When the bee travels to the next flower, the pollen may rub off onto the new flower's pistil. You can see the pollen on this bee's legs. The yellow sacs or lumps are pollen grains from the many flowers this bee has visited. If everything goes right, the flower produces new seeds that can grow into new plants for the following year. As mentioned earlier, once the eggs are fertilized, the ovary of the plant turns into a fruit. Look at this apple. The seeds are inside. A watermelon is loaded with seeds. There are seeds inside bean and pea pods. Some seeds are very small. Can you see the seeds on this strawberry? These little dots are the seeds. They are on the outside of the fruit. This coconut is a seed that is very large. Many seeds are designed to travel. They sail away in the wind. Seeds with this kind of ability can travel far from their parent plant. The wind carries them to locations where they may have a chance to grow. Some seeds can float, and many fall into the ocean, a river, or a stream. The water may carry the seed for miles. The seed might wash up on the shore and begin to grow. Did you ever think that animals were the spreaders of seeds? Well, they are. Birds may eat a berry and then drop the seed to the ground where it might begin to grow. Squirrels carry nuts off to different locations to bury and hide them for food during cold winters. The squirrel may forget where some of the nuts have been buried, and they will grow into new trees. Did you ever have to pick burrs from the fur of a pet? These seeds are designed to cling and stick to the fur of animals, so they will be carried to a new place. As this herd of buffalo moves across the field, they brush up against various plants. Clinging seeds will stick to the fur of the animals and be carried to new locations where they might fall off and begin to grow. Even the mud on your shoes is probably loaded with seeds. When the mud dries, the seeds are released. But only one seed in thousands ever grows into a new plant. Most just rot away or fall on ground that is either too wet or too dry. Debbie knows that some plants don't grow from seeds. This fern came from a spore. These little bumps on the underside of the fern leaf are called spores. Many kinds of moss come from spores. Mushrooms also come from spores. The spores are released into the air and travel by the wind to new places where they may grow. This hanging plant grew from a special stem called a runner. The runner grows out from the main plant, and if it goes under the soil, roots will grow and a new plant develops. Lilies and onions and many beautiful flowers grow from bulbs. They look like big fat roots. Some houseplants can actually be grown from a leaf or stem placed in water. The part that is placed in water is called either a cutting or a slip. Debbie's mom told her philodendron and ivy plants are especially easy to grow this way. Every kind of plant must have a way to produce new plants. Seeds, spores, runners, and cuttings are a few of the ways new plants are grown. Now it's time for a quiz on the material covered by this video production. You can write your answers on the Blackline Master number 2 or on a separate sheet of paper. The first section of questions are multiple choice. Identify the word that best completes the question. Let's get started. Question number 1. The female part of a flower is called the blank. A. Stamen. B. Anther. C. Pistil. Or D. Pollen. Question number 2. The male part of a flower is called the blank. A. Stamen. B. Anther. C. Pistil. Or D. Style. Question number 3. Pollen are found inside the blank. A. Stamen. B. Anther. C. Pistil. Or D. Style. Question number 4. The ovary protects the blank, which can turn into seeds. A. Stamen. B. Anther. C. Eggs. Or D. Pollen. Question number 5. If the eggs are fertilized and turn into seeds, the ovary turns into a blank. A. Fruit. B. Anther. C. Pollen. Or D. Style. Question number 6. What are the yellow sacs or lumps on this bee's leg? A. Fruit, B. Pollen, C. Anther, or D. Eggs? Now, we will change from multiple choice questions to short answer questions. Write a short answer for the following questions. Question number 7. How do insects such as bees help flowering plants with fertilization? Question number 8. Many seeds are designed to travel. Give some examples of how seeds move from one place to another. Question number 9. Why do most plants produce so many seeds? Question number 10. Some plants can be grown by cuttings. What does this mean?